The David Welch Winter Gardens sit in Duthie Park in Aberdeen and were reopened by the Lord Provost of Aberdeen, Robert S. Lennox, on 8th April 1970, replacing the old winter gardens that had been established in 1891 following a storm. They were named after the former director of Aberdeen Parks between 1967 and 1989, David Welch. He was an advocate of colourful mass planting in the city's parks, leading to several prestigious accolades, including awards from Scotland in Bloom and 3 gold medals at the Chelsea Flower Show. David went on to take up the position of Chief Executive of the Royal Parks Agency from 1992 until his death on 18th September 2000. An adopted Aberdonian, he was awarded a CBE and died aged 66. Within the entrance glass house is the Bonaccord crest that once stood in Aberdeen's Newmarket on Market Street. It depicts the 3 hills of the city: Castle, Port, and St. Catherine's. The 2 leopards are said to have been gifted to the city by James I as a thanks for underwriting his expenses during his captivity in England. Bon accord comes from the French, meaning good agreement. Legend states this was a secret password used during the Wars of Independence at the time when Robert Bruce retook Aberdeen in 1308. The crest was salvaged after the Newmarket was demolished in 1971 and following repairs was placed in the Winter Gardens, where it remains. Within the gardens is a tropical house with a myriad of species, including the cocoa tree, native to Central and South America, and ginger, native to the warmer areas of Asia. There is also the Mount Cottage fountain, which stood in the gardens of number 45 Mount Street, home to John Urquhart, a druggist, Bailey James Kinghorn, a draper, and Tommy Mitchell, one of the city's bakers. The Arid House contains a variety of cacti, including prickly pear from America and Peruvian apple cactus, and there are several examples of carnivorous plants. The Victorian corridor houses bright and strongly scented plants, popular during the Victorian era. This was known as the Palm House when the Winter Gardens opened originally, but it was hit by a violent storm in 1969, so had to be demolished and rebuilt. Ornamental gardens, palm houses, and conservatories, as well as winter gardens, grew in popularity during the Victorian times, as the glass tax was abolished in 1848 and the window tax was abolished in 1851, so having these were a sign of status and wealth. Glass was also cheaper as new technology was introduced into its manufacture. The flowers were carefully chosen, with each having a different meaning, from calm and peacefulness to love and friendship. The Temperate House has a variety of plants, including the mighty banana plant. The semicircular stained glass windows were saved from a building that once stood near Aberdeen Beach. In 1971, they were restored and placed in the Winter Gardens. Within the memorial courtyard is one of a pair of bronze panels that were salvaged from the balustrades of the Union Bridge. Cast in Burton-on-Trent in 1909 to a design by Sidney Boys, this stood on the south balustrade of the bridge, but was relocated in 1962 following the construction of buildings there. The figures depict trade, finance, fishing, shipbuilding, engineering and agriculture. Its sister panel, which remains on the north side of the bridge, depicts education, inspiration, architecture, music, literature, science, sculpture and art. Kelly's cats were placed on top of the balustrade, and the ones in the gardens are those from the south side of the bridge, with the north side ones still in situ. They had been placed on the new balustrade of Union Bridge in 1910, after the bridge had been widened, and represent the leopards. They were designed by William Kelly, at the time the city architect, and cast by William Banbury. They were rescued in 1964. The memorial courtyard was opened in September 2002 to commemorate David Welch. The oak wheelbarrow in the Temperate House was the one used by Miss Elizabeth Crombie Duthie and John Hamilton Gordon, 7th Earl of Aberdeen, when the first turf was cut in the park on 27th August 1881. The wheelbarrow was made of polished oak by Mr. T. Baird, a cabinet maker in the city. Above the wheel on a panel are carved the Duthie coat of arms and the family motto of Data, Fata, Secutus, meaning follow what is decreed. The old Provost lamps are also in here. They once stood outside the home of the Provosts of Aberdeen, and in 1838 the police commissioners placed these two lamps outside Provost James Milne's home at 65 Gallowgate. They each have the city's coat of arms on them. The scented corridor has a variety of plants, including a mint bush from Aberdeen in Tasmania. This is Mr. Puddock, the frog. He was presented to the Winter Gardens by the North East of Scotland Federation of Townswomen's Guild to celebrate their Diamond Jubilee in 1989. The Japanese garden was opened in June 1987 by His Excellency Toshio Yamazaki, the then Japanese ambassador to the UK. They were designed by Japanese-born landscape artist Takashi Sawano. He created the garden in remembrance of those who lost their lives at Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Some sayings have been carved into the path, and it's filled with Japanese plants, including bamboo and cherry trees. Here is also an education room based on a Japanese tea room. The gardens are open all year round and welcome visitors from all over the world. Admission is free, and they are well worth visiting. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.